Okay, so I'm starting my How to Make Sourdough series. This is going to be a 3-part series, and I first want to do a disclaimer, okay? I am not an expert sourdough maker. I've made sourdough for a long time, but I don't have time to do all these little tiny details. I don't measure in grams. I just measure in cups. I skip a lot of steps that some people think are important. I just don't have time to do some of these things. I don't have time to feed my sourdough every single day. I only feed it once a week or twice if I make sourdough more than once a week, but usually I make it once a week. Sometimes I will let it proof in the fridge. Sometimes I don't do that because I don't have time. So today I'm going to show you how to make sourdough in one day. And usually I have it in it's usually about a 12-hour span. So if I have time to cook it tonight, if I don't, then I will keep it in the fridge overnight and cook it in the morning, but I will let you know as I go. So I know that I'm going to make some of you sourdough people cringe, but this is how I do it, and everybody's loved my bread, and I don't really care that much. So here we go. So first, I'm going to start with 3 cups of water. It's important to use water that has no chlorine in it, so I use the water from the filter from the fridge. Pour this in. This is a sourdough mixer. You can go get this in my showcase if you want to see it. All right, so this is my start. I did make sourdough couple days, about 3 days ago. So this is what it looks like. You can tell it's kind of going over. I mix my sourdough really thick, and so it can last a week, and I do not feed it every day. I keep it in the fridge right after I mix it. So this recipe makes 2 loaves of bread. So I put 3 cups of water. I'm going to put 1 cup of starter in it. My starter's pretty thick. If you put a little bit extra, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes I'll put extra just for fun. All right. I will show you how I feed the sourdough in another part. It might be 4 parts. So we'll do another part for how I feed my sourdough and then what I do with it. Okay, so we're going to move that to the side. And I like to, once the sourdough starter is in and the water, I like to whisk it until it's all mixed in and all bubbly on top. So it's going to take a second. Right now it's a big glob. Oops. Some went out in the salt that I have right there. Okay, I like to get it good and bubbly. That's usually how you can tell it's a live, healthy start. I think one of the most important things in sourdough is to have a really good start. If you live in Utah, I might be able to get you one for free. Okay. So I want you guys to kind of see how bubbly and frothy it is. All right. Now I'm going to put the salt. I put 1 tablespoon and 2 teaspoons of salt for 2 loaves of sour bread. Now mix that up a little bit. And then we'll move on to the flour. So for flour, I usually use this stuff, organic, unbleached flour that I get from Costco. You want to try to get unbleached just because the sourdough star is sensitive towards bleach. So this is what I usually use. You can use King Arthur. I can get this at Walmart. This is not the organic one, but I try to get organic if I can. So I'm going to put 8 cups of flour. I'm going to open this one because I ran out and forgot to get more of those bags at Costco. So I had to grab this at Walmart. I just make sure I set this down really good. All right, 4 cups of that. Now I like to make half whole wheat, half white. Sometimes when I make it for other people, I just do white. You know what? I probably ought to put this on because I'm pretty messy. So let's get this. This is my daughter-in-law brought this home from Ecuador for me. All right, so I usually grind my own wheat, but my wheat grinder kind of went out. So I get this from Walmart. This is the ground white wheat. I like using white wheat because white wheat's more fluffy and light. So I'm going to do 4 cups of that. The other one go over a little. Well, actually I'm going to do 3 cups this time. I want this to be a little fluffier because I'm going to make some sandwiches out of it. Okay. I'm a little bit messy when I make sourdough. I'm going to put a couple more tablespoons back because the last one a little over 4. So there you go, 8 cups. Sorry, I'm making some of you cringe. I'm being super messy. Okay, so we're going to stir this around. Move this stuff off to the side. So I'll stir it around with this little, I don't even know what this thing is called. And then after a while, I'll start doing it with my hands. And you know, it depends on the humidity of where you are. If it's a little dry, it's okay. You can add water as you go. Put it on your hands as you do your stretch and folds. I do 4 stretch and folds total. All right, it's pretty good and mixed. My hands are washed, so I'm going to mix it with my hands. You don't have to mix the first one very much. You don't have to do it very thorough. It's okay. It's all gonna work out. So while I'm finishing mixing this, I warmed my oven up to about 100 degrees. You don't have to do this, but I do it. And I turn the light on and then turn the oven totally off. And that's where I let this proof while I'm doing all the folds and stretch. So the first fold and stretch I do, I let this sit, and this doesn't have to be mixed that great. See, it's still kind of bumpy and lumpy, and it's fine. You don't need to get too stressed about it. I cover it. I like to use this silicone suction lid. I'm getting some of these off TikTok. They should be coming today. They are in my showcase, but I don't know how good they are yet until I get them. All right. So I'm going to stick this in the oven. I warmed it up to 100 degrees and turned it off and then turned the light on. I'm going to stick this in there for 1 hour and then we'll be back to do our first stretch and fold.